Hello. Good day. My name is Prince Yemi Gasali. In today's training, we'll be talking about some parameters on you trading, and we've talked about how to choose coins. We've talked about the parameters in terms of long, short, auto hedging, and auto single. We've talked about initial position, maximum position, then double opening and smart covering. Then we've also talked about single and we've talked about single and cycle. So we've talked about leverage. So we'll be moving into the last aspect of parameters when it comes to you trading. So in this training, we've also, okay, in this training, we'll be talking about max order. We'll also be talking about size multiple. Then we'll also be talking about price gap, and we'll talk about profit, take profit. So let's get started with the one below. We talk about take profit and trailing profit. Okay, so when we talk about take profit, number one, you need to know that or let's just start from our max order. Let's start the way it goes. So max order. Max order simply means how many times do you want to buy? For example, I have $100 and your $100 that you want to purchase with, how many times are you buying? Are you expecting to buy this $100 once or twice or three times or four times or five times and so on? Now, the advantage is this: when you buy the $100 once and you set your take profit, and there is no dip, there is no surprises from the market. It simply means you'll be earning your full, what do we call it, percentage in terms of interest, as in you'll be earning the interest on time. For example, if you want to earn 1%, so if you buy once and you're putting it on 1%, that simply means you have $100 and you buy once. That simply means your 1% will give you $1. But when you're buying twice, and probably the first buy is probably $30, then later on you now buy $70 to replenish this. Just an example. That simply means that if there is no dip, that means if the coin do not go against, if the coin do not go against you, $30 is in the business, is what you're trading with. And what you will now be getting is $0.3. That is what you'll be getting, $0.3. But assuming there is a dip and your set is for the dip was being captured, then it buys more, fine. You will now get what we call your full $1 as profit if your percentage is 1 point, as in 1% profit. But if you do not, if it doesn't go down, you'll get what we call 1% of $30 that you're buying, and that is going to be 0.3%. Now, the advantage and disadvantage of the two is if you're buying at once, that simply means that you get your profit, your full profit, and probably you'll be having a lot of money as profit daily if the coins do not go against you. But the issue is you cannot predict when coins will go against you. So that simply means that if you buy at once and you do not buy in the dip, you just buy whatever you want to buy once. What it simply means is if there is a dip, you have to wait till that dip is over before you can get profit. So it simply means there's going to be an holiday, whether you like it or not. If you continue to trade this way, there'll always be a time where there's going to be a very strong dip, and you just have to wait till the dip is over, or the dip in terms of going against you is over. So that's that. But if you are buying in bits, there's probability that you don't go into deep, and that simply means your profit will just be based on what you have and might be more. But the advantage of you buying more is that when it goes deep, probably it goes deep. You know, for example, you have $30 and probably you have probably, let's say, minus 3% deep and you expected it to buy $70. That simply means that this coin is going to be minus something that is below 1%, because if you buy $60, this will give you minus 1%. So that simply means if you are buying extra $10, it will be something like minus 0.8 or 0.9%. And that simply means that you'll be getting out of the deal faster than if you're waiting for it to come back to one, to come back to 0% from minus three. So that's the advantage and the disadvantage over there. So it's something you need to know. So, just a minute. Okay. Okay, so that's what you need to know when it comes to the deep. So, what else again do we talk about then? Now, it now depends on you. How many times are you buying? How many times are you buying? Are you buying once? Are you buying twice? Are you buying three times? Are you buying four times? Are you buying five times? The advantage is simple. It takes you out of the deep faster. You know, for example, coins might intentionally go minus 20% dip, minus 20% dip. So what are you doing here? It simply means that you're saying that, okay, if it goes probably 1% dip buy, if it goes another 2% dip buy, if it goes another 3% dip buy, it depends on you. And you can decide to just wait till it goes to probably 10% dip before you buy. So it's all about choices, and everything you do has its own consequence and has its own plus or minus. For example, if you want to buy five times, assuming you're buying five times, let's assume you're buying five times, and you say probably when it goes 1% deep buy, minus 1% buy. When it goes another probably minus 3% deep buy again. When it goes another minus 5% deep buy again, and so on. So what usually happen here is probably it might not even get to the last. Probably it will just end here before it sells. So you're selling just a little of your money goes into the market, and you look like, oh, I have $10,000 and probably I'm just getting $13 per day and so on. Then you're wondering, that's small. But I'm just saying that as an example, it's not a calculated math. So you just feel like that is small. That is very, very small. Then you want to talk to yourself like, no, let me get something better. Let me get something better. Like probably you want to put all your money into trading at the beginning, and what do you get? You realize that you just take profit for 1 or 2 days and you see a strong dip. So it not depends on you. Are you cool with trading all your capitals at once and have an holiday when the holiday comes? Or do you prefer taking little by little, getting little percentage of profit daily, and at least try and avoid being stagnant or being in the deep for too long? So it depends on you and what you're open to trade with. Then we move to price gap. Price gap is simple. When you talk about price gap, you're talking about you trying to indicate the time at which you expect the coin to buy more. Okay. When exactly? What is the percentage at which you want the coin to buy more? As in, you want the robot to buy more for you at price gap. So, what's the price interval? So that is concerning the dip. So it's that determines that is the dip you're talking about. That means, do you really want, if you're buying twice, okay, you're buying twice here, how do you expect it to buy? So, and you can see price gap. So the first one you've purchased at the beginning, probably $30, and you want to purchase another $60. Then the question is, when do you want to purchase this $60? Do you want to purchase it when it is 1% dip, so that immediately it's 1% dip, you close the gap and probably you sell fast? Or if there's going to be a strong dip, it might go beyond 1% dip. Then do you want to prepare it for 5% dip? And the implication of this is that it might not even get to 5% dip. It might take a long day before it gets to 5%. It might be playing within 1% dip and 4% dip for even 4 or 5 days. If you're not careful, it will get here and it will go back here, get here, go back here, get here. It can be playing like that for 5 days. So are you okay with that? Like, okay, don't let this thing tempt me. Let me go and wait for it at 5% dip. Let me wait for it at 4% dip. Let me wait at 10% dip. And probably you will just want to wait for it till it gets to 10% dip or 20% dip before you buy more. It is your calculation, and you can decide, assuming this is your max order in terms of how many times you want to buy is probably 4 times. Okay, and you can just come here and do the settings like what percentage will be the first one. Let me try it like I usually try it at 1%. If I'm doing multiple buys, that means I'm doing 3 buys. I'll try it at 1%. Try and see if it can buy that one fast and sell off. Even at this, it can be playing like this and sell it off and not going deep. So probably I just want to see if it can buy at 1% deep and just sell it off. But if not, then I have to like, okay, if it goes away from this, if I couldn't tackle it here, then that simply means I should give it a break a little. So I might decide to just put this to 3% or 4%. Then I put this at 4 or 5% also. So the last buy is for a caution of if it really goes deep. So for the first one is I don't want it to go deep. I want it to quickly if there is any attempt of it going deep, let me just replenish fast so that at least I can sell out because I know it plays around it. But if that is being escaped, then the second one I need to give it a little bit breath, minimum of 2%. That is what I do. But you can just do it your way. Like, okay, it escapes this. Let me try this again and put it to 1%. It depends on you. And let's take it out first. And you can decide that, oh, this is what I want to do. I just want to try and do something. Let me just do it at 1% again. I don't want it to escape, or probably you want to give it a breathing space of 3% deep before it buys another one, or 2% deep. So probably I usually do 1, 2, and 4 or 5 or 3 here. So that can do 1, 2, 5, 1, 2, 4, or probably 1, 3, 5, or 1, 3, 5. Yeah. So that simply means that I've taken care of about close to 10% dip. Yeah. So at least about 7 to 8% dip if it goes. So at least it's replenished. It doesn't keep me at the top for too long. So that's that. Then another thing here we'll be talking about is what we call size multiple. Size multiple depends on how many do you want to buy? The numbers you want to buy, for example, if my first one is $10, what should be the second buy? If I want to buy $20, that simply means it will be whatever I have before divided by 3. So, and it goes again, then you want to buy 40%. So now you want to buy $40 and probably you want to buy $80 and you keep going. So if that is what you want, multiple of what you purchased last, that's going to be 2. But the advantage is this, I prefer this to be 2, 3, thereabouts. It makes more sense because it divides it well and it makes it at least it shortens the dip a lot. It makes the dip smaller. But the only issue is this, it also makes the first buy to be very low because you are buying in multiple. So that simply means the first buy, for example, look at this. This calculation is if you want to buy 3 dips, that means you want to buy 4 times. And this calculation is based on if you have that, this is $150 now. So that simply means if you're trading $150, your first buy is going to be $10. So that simply means even per coin you're trading $150 and your first buy is $10. So if it is not buying the second one, is not buying the third one, talk less of the fourth one, you'll just be getting 0.1 cent. So it's look like, oh, I'm not making more profit. But if you have this kind of settings, it makes you feel confident, like, no, my trades are at least are in control. My trades are in control. I am doing it right, that kind of a thing. But at the same time, like I said, if it is not going deep, it simply means your interest might just be slow. For example, even if it buys the second one, you have $30 in the market. Out of $150, you have $30 in the market. And $30, 1% of $30 is 30 cents. And you feel like, no, how much that is slow. So all these things have their plus and minus. It is for you to decide what exactly you want to do. So, and we come to this take profit. Take profit is what percentage of profit do you want to take? And this also can go in bits, assuming you're buying the first buy, which is the real buy you purchased at the beginning. And what percentage do you want to give it? If you're doing the second buy, the third buy, the fourth buy, what percentage profit? So I can decide to take 1% all through, and I can decide to take 1% at the first one, then probably 1.2% here, and probably 1.5% here, because it has gone deep. We're expecting it to go up again. So, and this depends on how deep you purchased. So, and how anxious you're ready to get out of that deep when it has gone deep. So, but you can decide to put it all 1%. Then the question is, what percentage do I put? It depends on you, but in futures, we expect you not to put more than 1% each. But you can as well put in 0.5%, 0.3% if you want. But the only truth is you also don't want to get less profit because we are using auto single, and immediately you take your profit, it might take another 6 hours, 12 hours, or 24 hours before another trade is being picked for you. So you want to be careful. What kind of profit is it choosing for me? Because that simply might be the only profit you get for that day. So you just want to take your one. But the disadvantage is that coins might get to 0.8, 0.9, and still go back to minus 5% dip. So if you're not taking your profit on time also, there's probability of you getting into dip before it comes in. And if you take your profit on time, you might just probably be getting your profit prematurely. But so far, I'm not getting liquidated. I'm not worried. So I just put it to 1%. Maximum, that's the maximum, and probably 0.8% at least to make a little sense. So that's take profit for you. So, and there is what we call trailing cover and trailing profit. So this simply means that whenever the profit simply means, assuming I want to take my profit as 1%, that's it. I want to take my profit at 1%. When when it gets to 1%, the system will not choose profit for me. It will allow it to keep going up. So my 1% can be 10% for me. It depends on the speed at which the coin goes up. But what the system will be looking for is whenever there is a turn back, the profit, this is where to take my profit and it keeps going up. So it will wait for a time when the profit, when the system goes down against me with the settings I have here. And the settings I have here is always 0.1%. So when it goes against me 0.1%, that is when it would initiate my profit. So that is why somehow you initiated 1% and it is giving you probably 3% or 2% or 1.5% as profit. Then the same thing comes here at trailing cover. So whenever you, okay, here we are talking about the price gap also. We're talking about the price gap also here. So whenever it is meant to purchase for you at a particular percentage. For example, you're meant to buy when it is probably when it is 1% minus 1%, you expect it to buy more. It will not buy it at that time. It will wait for a kind of reverse of 0.2% before it purchases. That simply means it's still looking at it as if the dip can still be deeper. So sometimes you ask the system to buy at minus 1% dip and it might purchase it at minus 2% dip, depending on if there is no reverse in that dip. You know, when it is going deeper and there's no reverse, immediately there is a reverse. After it has gotten to your percentage, the chosen percentage, immediately there's a reverse of 0.2%. It takes, it buys whatever you ask it to buy. So I think that's all for today's presentation, and I wish you the best. And I think there are no questions for now, so let's just end the presentation.